Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode. Today I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to take you out on my day, kind of show you what I do on my day off. And I also thought that it would be really fun because I'm actually going to go to Hobby Lobby. I'm meeting my mom a little bit later, going to drop off this one to have a play date with her dogs. So I haven't even gotten ready. My hair looks like a mess, I know. I'm making a list of things that I have to do today. I got to make a cake video. So I've got like all kinds of fun stuff to do today. We're gonna go to Hobby Lobby, and then I've gotta go grocery shopping, which I'm not gonna bore you with all that. And then I'm gonna come back here and we're gonna have a fun girls' night tonight. After I make this video, we'll have dessert tonight. So there you go. Y'all, I don't know if you know this or not. It is the middle of March and it is 25 degrees outside. My poor little doggy, look at her. She's freezing. I'm cold. I haven't even got like this huge jacket on. So now we're gonna go to my mom's house and we're gonna leave Mia so she has some friends to play with today, and then we're gonna go to Hobby Lobby. So I'm here at Hobby Lobby and they won't let me record inside, so some kids running through the parking lot. Well, since they won't let me record inside, I'm going to take some pictures and add it into the video so that way I can still show you what they have without recording. Okay, so I am now in the aisle at Hobby Lobby, and the first thing that I'm going to point out is the decorator icing. This is pre-colored vanilla flavored icing, and what you can do is put this in your prepared piping bag. Just use it just like that with your own coupler and your tip. This works great. It comes in a variety of different colors. So this is just already pre-made in a tube. What you can do with this is unscrew the cap and put on some plastic tips, and you can just throw it right out whenever you're done. The next thing that I'm going to point out is the edible icing decorations right up top. And these come, as you can see, in a variety of different themes, colors, shapes, and you can either pop those right on top of a cupcake or you can use them for additional decoration on a birthday cake or whatnot. The next thing we have right below that is the edible color markers. Now these come in really handy if your hand isn't too steady with a piping bag. You can take this and it's just like using a marker, and you can just write and color in things, and it's edible, so you don't have to worry about any toxic inks. And then off to the right of all of this is edible icing sheets, and right above it we've got edible fondant figures, and I'm going to actually do a video on this coming up. I have an edible icing printer that prints out sheets, which makes things really easy. I'm sure you've all seen the birthday cakes with like a baby picture or an old wedding photo on top. Well, that's exactly what this is. You just scan it in and print out right on top. And those edible figures, they're a little bit softer than the royal icing ones to the left. I actually enjoy making fondant figures. I actually used to have a lot of fun making clay figures for different occasions and gifts and things when I was much younger. So I've kind of taken that with me as I go along and have brought this into cake decorating. Now we move on down the aisle, and this is kind of, I know this is going to sound really dorky of me, but this is actually my favorite section of the baking aisle at Hobby Lobby. As you can see right here, we've got the icing colors, which are really cool. They come in tons and tons of different colors that you can choose from. As you can see, all of these come with a white top. This is the gel coloring. I have an airbrush gun, and this particular brand sells airbrush coloring in the same type of thing, but they come with a black lid on it. I'm not sure if any of you have played with an airbrush gun, but it's a lot of fun. The coloring with the black lid is much more liquid than these are. These are gel, of course, and you've seen me use these many times. You know, this color is true to its color. It works out really well, so I think you're really going to enjoy this. And this is just like the Hobby Lobby brand. I think it's called Sunnyside is what it's called. I mean, they make cake boards. They make, as you can see, all these tips and piping bags and things like that. That's kind of the brand that Hobby Lobby carries, and it works just as well. We're going to move on to the decorator bags. These are all featherweight bags, which you can wash and reuse. And up along the very top is all your plastic disposable bags. Right below it, you've got all your variety of sizes of couplers. So these are your standard couplers. And then right next to it, we've got your larger coupler for your larger
decorator tips, like your 2D, what we decorated our cupcake with. So that works well. And if you're using those larger tips, be sure you use a featherweight bag, because whenever you use it on a plastic bag, to be able to cut that and give it enough space, you're gonna have so much of that plastic gone that you're not gonna have enough space for your icing, or a whole bunch of your icing. So it's a nice rule of thumb to just use a larger featherweight bag. And as you can see off to the bottom, we haven't really ever talked about this. This covers your tips if you need a break from decorating and whatnot. It's like a silicone tip, and it just fits right over the top of your metal tip so that the air doesn't get to it and dry it out. And of course, off to the right, there are tons and tons of tips. This is pretty much all of your basic and a few of your more extravagant tips that make really fancy designs and things. Right here, we've got our icer tip, which is absolutely wonderful. It will cover so much volume on your cake. It helps you save time on when you're trying to ice the outside of your cake. Right next to it is a tip brush. I know that we have never really talked about cleaning and the maintenance of your tips, but this, I'm not sure if any of you have ever used like a baby bottle brush, like when you're cleaning. It is a long wire that has bristles on the end. This right here is the same thing for tips. Like, it's on a wire piece, and you just clean, you know, to get in those small little cracks and the ends of the tips. This works out really well to help clean. And then of course, you've seen the filling tip on how to fill a cupcake. Here is also a really fun little section. Sprinkles. Hello, everybody loves sprinkles. As you can see, they come in a variety of shapes, colors, sizes. They've pretty much got everything that you can ever imagine, and this is just a fun way to add some color to your piece, whether it's cupcakes or the border on a cake. Whatever you'd like. They've got tons and tons of different sprinkle choices for you to select from. This is a great little section and adds a whole lot of color to your cake. Right next to it, we've got all of our 3D cake pans. On the very bottom, we've got a Barbie pan, and I'm gonna actually show you how to make this in the next few weeks. We're gonna do a Barbie or a doll cake, and actually I'm gonna show you the little Barbie piece that Hobby Lobby carries, which works out really well when you're trying to make this cake. The 3D ball pan that you see right here, I actually used that in last week's video to create the top bun on my cake, and I just wanted to let you guys know the checkerboard cake pan set, it's awesome, but if you want to save your $13, do it. I will show you a very easy way to make this cake and save you $13, and you can do it any way you want. I promise it'll be worth it. Okay, so this right here is a section that we haven't really got into a whole bunch. This is pretty much the fondant section. As you can see off to the left, we've got all of our little fondant molds, and what you do is you just take a little piece of fondant and you push it in all those little cracks and crevices, and it takes that shape of that mold. Up to the top, we've got all of our fondant cutters. Cookie cutters work just as well. They do not have to be anything specific. That's what I've used in the past. It has been cookie cutters. Works just fine, which are also in that same section. Off to the right, we've got all these flower molds, the centers to the flowers. There's little plastic cups that help form the petals on the flowers. And they've got all the little things that you would need, like floral tape and gum paste, you know, your wiring, all that, your flower lifters. They've got all that, and we will get into that eventually. Now, moving back down to the luster dust. Now, this is actually really cool when you're making flowers, or if you just need a little color on a specific section of the cake. You're gonna do this when it's dry, and you're gonna use the paintbrushes right next to it to kind of dip and brush it lightly onto the fondant, and what that does is just gives you a little bit of color and shimmer to the cake. Right below that, we've got some cake ribbon, that's what I'm calling it. It's kind of like a shimmery, kind of studded looking border. This comes in really handy. You can buy it in different lengths and colors and thicknesses, so this turns out really great. Right below it, you can see all the pre-colored fondant that you can purchase. That is what I've been using in the previous videos where I've used fondant. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how to color your own fondant to save you a little bit of money whenever you're doing your next cake project. Off to the right, we've got all of our fondant tools. We've got scrapers, we've got little fondant tools, we've got cutters, just about everything that you can imagine. and use for your fondant to get the basic things. That's what you really would need. Right next to it, we've got the cake wires. I've actually used this before as the cake topper, and I've hung little miniature decorations from it to look like shooting stars. And down on the bottom right hand corner, these are all of our decorator spatulas that come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Now moving on to this last little bit of this aisle at Hobby Lobby, what we've got is sugar sheets off to the left. This is kind of what I was talking about whenever you can get a design printed on an edible sheet. That's exactly what this is, already pre-printed or pre-colored, so that's really cool. Right below everything, we've got a fondant ribbon cutter and embosser. This is really, really neat. It has a rod in the middle and you can kind of space it out, so you've got all of your little spacers. It embosses, it makes decorative wavy borders or zigzags or however you want it. So this really will save you time when if you're trying to freehand something. This makes it so much easier. Right next to it, fondant smoother. Its name is pretty self-explanatory. It literally smooths the fondant. Right below that, we've got a fondant cutter, which is just a fancy pizza cutter, handheld. Really cool. Or you could use a pizza cutter, whichever you prefer. And then right below that, a wooden fondant roller, which is pretty much like a wooden rolling pin with a really nice handle. Off to the right of that, you've seen me use the small little rolling pin. And what this does is this is really nice when you're using a small piece of fondant. You don't have to get out the large rolling pin, which is right next to that. The larger rolling pin is really nice whenever you have a large piece of fondant when you're trying to cover a cake. Right above it, we've got the fondant pin rolling guides, and those are just little silicone rings that fit on each end of the rolling pin. And what it is whatever thickness of those rings you pick out, that's the thickness of your fondant. These really come in handy if you're trying to get everything even rather than freehand it, because sometimes if you just eyeball it and you're doing it free-handed, one end will be a lot thicker than the other. So this comes in really handy. The work mat it's got guides all over it, round circles also. So when you're rolling all this stuff out, you can tell, oh, well, if I've covered my 10-inch mark or this specific mark, I know that I have enough fondant rolled out to cover my cake. As I was walking out the aisle, I noticed a few things that I missed. Here's the little Barbie that I was talking about. It's about a little 6-inch pick that will fit right in the top of your cake, and you can just decorate her. You're gonna put icing clothes on her anyways. To the right of that, we've got cake levelers. The plastic one that is called the Ultimate Cake Leveler. I don't particularly like this one trying to level small cakes. I don't like it that well, but if you are doing large cakes, this works out well. The one that I have is right next to it, and I say that it'll do about a 10-inch cake comfortably. So right below everything here, you see the baking strip. What these baking strips do is you just wrap it around your pan before your cake goes in the oven, and it will bake your cake evenly. Then you won't have that little hump over the top, and then you won't have to shave anything off, so you're essentially getting more of the batter used, which is perfect. Off to the far right, we see all of these silicone baking molds, and if you have never used these, I can imagine that you're probably pretty hesitant about buying these. Let me tell you, I was too. I purchased my very first one, and it was the best purchase I ever made. It is so great. I have a few different shapes, especially numbers. Numbers turn out really well. They're flexible, they're kind of flimsy, they clean very well, but yeah, overall they work really, really well. They hold up to like 400 degrees, or you can put them in the oven for about 400 degrees, which is just blows my mind. So if you're thinking about purchasing it, it is a very good purchase. Now, if you have ever been to Hobby Lobby, you know that Hobby Lobby sells just about everything under the sun. These right here are so wonderful. This was found in like the children's bedroom decoration, and I actually have purchased one of these. I use this for all of my mixer attachments. It's great storage, and it adds some really cool decoration to your kitchen, your studio, whatever you're using. It keeps it also in sight to add a little bit of decoration. I think I spent $14 on this, and I had a coupon. Of course, I'm the coupon queen here when it comes to craft stores.
That's all I have for today. I hope that you've enjoyed our shopping trip to Hobby Lobby. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you soon for more SugarVol cake videos.
This is my present for having to stay by myself all day. This was my present.